Here.
Alderman Geis.
Here.
Alderman Bostic.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Dupree.
Here.
Alderman Young.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Item number 1 on your agenda is the vote on the municipal docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Bostic.
make a motion to approve the municipal docket.
We have a motion by Alderman Bostic. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Alderman Dupree. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye. Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Number 2 on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Is it Alderman Bostic?
make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of moving letter H to executive session.
Do we have a second for the
Second.
motion? Second by Alderman Bledsoe. The motion is by Alderman Bostic, the second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. All right. Number 3 on the agenda is the claims docket. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
make a motion to approve the claims docket. General fund, $229,050.82. The bond funded cap project expense for $513,381.55. The library fund for $120.41. The economic development fund for $28,236.47. The utility fund for $131,343.24, for a total docket of $902,132.49.
Motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second to the motion?
Mayor, second.
Second by Alderman Young. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. We are on number 4 on the agenda. We have a special guest tonight, Miss Anna Holtzclaw, and she's here to present the Tri-State Compact Agency. I believe every other city in the county has signed on to this, haven't they?
Yeah, Hernando, Olive Branch, and South Haven have, yes.
I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Anna right now.
All right. Good evening. Thank you all for having me here tonight. It's really an honor to be here with you. I work for an organization called Region Smart, which is a nonprofit organization. We have been running a Mid-South Mayor's Council since actually about 2013. And recently, the Mayor's Council meets monthly and has speakers come in. And we had a speaker come in actually right before the pandemic hit that introduced us to the concept of an interstate compact agency. And he came back again in August and presented to the group, and the group voted to move forward with it. So what I wanted to share with y'all today is what it is and what this could mean for us in the Mid-South. The idea behind an interstate compact agency is based on 4 premises that you have that we believe. The first is that in the global economy right now, regions are competing, not municipalities and cities. So we have to look at ourselves as a Memphis region or the Mid-South region in order to compete with other regions around town or around the country or around the world actually. The second premise that this is based on is that we do not believe that our competition is within an hour's drive. So we do not believe that Memphis and Horn Lake are competing with each other, or Horn Lake and Marietta. Now, when it gets down to nitty-gritty details, we may be trying to recruit somebody to our town over the other town, and we get that. But in general, and looking at the big economy, we are not competing with each other. And what we know is that when we look at the other regions that we are compared with, that a lot of those regions do not have to navigate multiple states like we do. We're looking at Tennessee, Arkansas, and Mississippi. And we also know the fourth premise here is that we believe that it's gonna take every single one of our assets in order to match up to those other regions. The most important asset that we recognize is our people that live here in the Mid-South. And it takes, if you look at the numbers of comparing our region to a region around Indianapolis or Austin or Nashville or Birmingham or these other cities where people are choosing things, our population, we have to use all three states' populations together as a group to match up to them, to say that we have a labor force, to attract new companies to come here, to look at dollars spent here and that sort of thing. So we think that that is really important. What an interstate compact is, and I have to refer to my notes here so that I don't miss anything, it is a compact agreement between three states. There are over 200 of them active in the United States right now. Mississippi, Arkansas, and Tennessee are party to 30 of them. They're used for a variety of things. They're used to manage resources. Interstate compact agreements exist when you have a license for, like a cosmetologist, so you want their license recognized in multiple states, or a lawyer. Well, actually lawyers are different, different area. But so they're used for a variety of things. And what we are proposing is that we create an interstate compact agreement agency that allows us to apply for federal funds for economic development efforts is the primary goal of this. So it would allow us to prioritize and champion infrastructure projects for the region. It allows us to serve as a federal grant applicant. Eventually, when we have our income, it would allow us to issue bonds on the municipal market as a conduit agency. It would allow us to do things like take the idea of a third bridge or the expansion of 55 and look at an economic development study for that, and then lobby for that as three states as opposed to one state moving forward on this. The way it works is, or the structure that we're proposing is that there would be 5 commissioners for each state. And in order for anything to get put on the agenda for this organization, it has to get a majority in all 3 states. So if Tennessee and Arkansas had 5 votes, yay votes, yes, and Mississippi said, nope, we've only got 2 yay votes or had no yay votes, that it would not make the cut for this organization to work on. So it really enforces that we are truly gonna take on projects that are regional in nature. Just to put it into perspective, just some things that I've learned in the last, with the infrastructure bill passing recently, we would not be competing for the formulaic dollars that Mississippi is already getting. We would be competing for discretionary dollars. That's what we would be applying for. And what this organization should do is make us more competitive as a region and get dollars that wouldn't come to us anyway, because when we're up there lobbying for this, we're lobbying with 3 states behind us as opposed to just 1 state. So it should be advantageous and make us more competitive when looking at other regions and that sort of thing. The timeline for this is tight. This organization, in order for it to exist, it has to be approved by all 3 state legislatures, the U.S. Congress, and the President. And the President of the United States. I did this presentation the other day, and someone said, "Well, who's the President?" And I was like, "Well, it's the President. So it's the President of the United States, to be clear." So in order to do that, to get on the dockets for this to be passed in early 22 in Tennessee and Mississippi, we are in major work mode right now. We have a draft charter for what this would look like. We are starting to put the bills together so we can submit this. The fast track for this, if everything went smoothly, is that we would get it approved in Tennessee and Mississippi in early 2022. Then it would go to the U.S. Congress and the President, because Arkansas legislation only meets every other year, so they don't meet again until first quarter of 2023. So that's the soonest we could get it approved there. But what I've learned is, with just 2 states on board, that's enough to get Congress can approve it before, and the second Congress approves it, we could hit submit on grants and start soliciting things. So that's the quick overview, and I'd love to answer any questions, or if I missed anything, Mayor Latimer, that you heard last time that I don't need to emphasize. Okay.
I appreciate you coming down here tonight, discussing with the board and with our citizens out here. I think according to the paperwork I have, Corley share would be what, $3,500?
That's what I understand from the way y'all typically break things up for DeSoto County.
Yes. Does anybody on the board have any questions for Miss Anna? Alderman Boston.
Is that an annual fee? The $3,500?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the honest answer to that is, I don't know yet. What we are trying to do right now is we knew that we needed to hire a lawyer, we needed to start drafting this legislation. So this is what we have been doing, what we're doing right now is trying to get to $150,000 is to use as startup funds to pay for all of the lobbying, the efforts and stuff that need to start and move forward on this. We have started to get recently some philanthropic interest from people that are interested in giving to this to make it happen. All of the other compact agencies that we've looked at in the United States get to a point where they are self-sustaining. And they do it at the beginning primarily from grant administration fees. And actually, the consultant who's writing the legislation for us actually sent me an email yesterday, like in the infrastructure bill, there is a grant that is available only for multi-state commitments or interstate compacts. And if you've been in existence, you can apply for $1 million. If you are new, you can apply for $2 million. That particular $2 million is to do planning for intermodal freight distribution, which I'm not an expert in, so I can't tell you exactly what that is, but someone else probably knows better than I do. But would be, for a region that's so dependent on freight and logistics and that sort of thing, we believe that we would be an ideal candidate for something like that. But that's a grant we can't even apply for unless this entity exists.
Does anyone else have any questions for Miss Anna? Well, to follow up then on what Alderman Bostic said, we don't know whether there's gonna be an annual fee on each member of this compact. Well, we don't know right now, so the board could vote to do it this year. And what happens if the board says we're not gonna do it this year?
Well, our hope is that we are putting together, so a piece of what this initial funding is going through is to write the business plan, to do the fundraising plan and that sort of thing. It is our hope that we can get this organization to a point where it is self-sustaining quickly, where we're not coming back and asking for other gifts. But I can't promise you right now that we can get there in the next 12 months. We're gonna do everything that we can to do that, but I can't, I would be being dishonest if I told you for sure.
So self-sustaining means you're planning and hoping to get all the money from grants.
Yes, sir. And then eventually, the way some of the other compact agencies work are that they are creating, there are all sorts of different examples. So the New York, New Jersey Port Authority is an interstate compact organization. They get all of their funds from, they own manage the airport, which we're not trying to manage the airport, but, so they get fees from those. They get, they've built a tunnel, they get tolls on that. There is the St. Louis one, collects, freight fees based on the work that they did for their freightways, work. So it's hard to predict what that's gonna be until we start getting into the nitty-gritty of the work, and figuring that out.
Does anyone, Alderman Bostic?
Yeah, what's the debt? You said this is kind of a tight window. Is there a deadline that you would need us to make a vote and commit to $3,500? When you said Arkansas can't do theirs until 2023.
Oh, yeah, so West Memphis has already committed their money to it. Crittenden's in the decision-making process right now. So the decision-making thing is the state legislation doesn't meet until first quarter of 2023, so they can't pass theirs until then. So the money is helping us plan for that, but not necessarily related to the timing of that, if that makes sense.
But still, what is the deadline for us to do a little more homework and figure out what we need to do here? It sounds like a good thing, but
yeah.
I just wanna know, is it like next week or January 1st or?
We would love to know by the end of the year.
By the end of the year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the legislature are going to session
Yes.
first part of
Yeah.
January.
Yes.
So we'd have to have a bill getting ready to go in the hot. I mean, this compact would have to have a bill ready to go. Hey, we know the elephant in the room here, so we might as well just say
Okay.
it. You know, Horn Lake was part of that, agreement when Memphis built the sewer.
Mm-hmm,
And now they're cutting us off.
mm-hmm,
So, you know, based on some previous experience with Memphis, it hadn't been all peaches and cream
mm-hmm,
in our relationship with them.
mm-hmm.
Now, I can see on the plus side with this, you have a tri-state compact, you've got 6 US senators. You get them on board, that's nice to have
Right.
6 senators plus their representatives, but 6 senators is a big plus. But, I just wanted the board to be aware of that, and the way you were talking, if this did come to fruition and the board decided to participate, would we be able to get money for a sewer?
Well, that would be up,
I
so,
mean, we're not gonna have
Yes.
it with Memphis, I mean, that's out, they've already told us that. But if we wanted to use some money on however we have to solve our sewer problem,
Yep.
would funds be available through this agency?
so you would have 5 commissioners in each state, and those 15 commissioners, a majority in each of the 3 states would have to vote yes to write the amendment to ask for that fund, those funds.
Yes, ma'am,
Yeah.
I understand,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if all of them agreed to it, then that would be another
Then
pipeline
yes,
for some money.
absolutely, yes. Mhm.
Okay. But you're asking this board to reach a decision and let you know, really, they have to do it by the next, either tonight or the next meeting.
That would be great.
Well, I mean, there's really not much option if they're gonna get it ready for it to turn into the legislature. And all the other cities in the county have done it.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, and I could, I mean, if you want amounts, I mean, I can, let's see.
I think Memphis gave 75,000.
Memphis gave, oh, I can reel off the whole list. Memphis gave 75,000, Shelby County gave 25,000, Tipton County gave 10,000, Germantown gave 10,000, South Haven gave 7,500, Olive Branch gave 6,250, Bartlett gave 5, West Memphis gave 4,000, Hernando gave 3,000, Covington, Tennessee gave 2,500, and Somerville gave 1,000.
So there's no other cities in the state of Mississippi that have, like Batesville or Oxford or anybody else?
So we've
jump on
limited it to the MSA, so it's been DeSoto, Crittenden, Shelby, Tipton, and Fayette, so it's the 3 counties in Tennessee and the 1 in Arkansas and the 1 in Mississippi. What the mayor sort of discussed was, that's the governance of the, organization, because they were worried that if the governance got much bigger, that it would get out of control and we wouldn't be able to make decisions or figure out who elects the commissioners and that sort of a thing. And so we started with this, just the MSA seemed a clear way to sort of identify that this would be what it is. The impact of it could be statewide. I actually asked the lawyer the other day, I said, well, what if there was a project in Biloxi and a project in Johnson City and a project in Tennessee and a project in Bentonville, Arkansas? I was trying to pick the cities the furthest away from us. And they all wanted to use this entity as a way to go ask for the funds. Could they do that? And the answer is, if the 15 commissioners, if each in all 3 states voted majority yes, yes, they could. So it doesn't limit us to impact area. The limit right now is talking about the governance of it.
So they would be able to use the force even though they may not have paid into this area?
Correct. But the commissioners would have to agree to that, yes.
Okay. So the impact area in northwest Arkansas, what influence do they have? Are they in Missouri and Oklahoma, or are they just?
Yeah, I would think so, yeah, that would be my guess.
What are the benefits of the different cities getting different types of monies? Higher is lower, say we get 3,500, South Haven, we get 7,500. Do they get more benefits than we do?
Not that I know of. I mean,
Based on population.
yeah, yes, so the original split was we took the 5 counties and the population and sort of proportioned that out. So, that
Monies
was,
per capita.
Yes, so DeSoto County was a $25,000, and then I didn't know, y'all had a formula that was explained to me that this is the way it divvied up. Or how y'all have typically done things like this in the past for DeSoto County.
May I ask you, you say, so Mississippi, DeSoto County, would have 5 commissioners.
Yes, sir.
How would they be selected?
Great question. So the way the charter was just drafted, we got the first draft Monday, and what the charter says today is that that DeSoto County would elect those or nominate those 5 commissioners. There's some emails that I saw where Mayor Musselwhite, Mayor Adams, and Mayor Johnson are already talking about how you would split those out and what that means and that sort of a thing. The charter can be written so that Mississippi can choose their commissioners in a different way than Arkansas and a different way than Tennessee. So it's gonna be up to DeSoto County to sort of determine how it is that y'all wanna do that and write that get that written into the charter.
What I was just concerned about
Yeah.
is if the board decided to participate,
Uh-huh.
we might not have a commissioner.
Mhm.
Just by giving money doesn't guarantee it having a commissioner. I mean, I know that's.
Right, yeah.
DeSoto County's gotta figure that out.
Yeah, there's no connection for that right now. That certainly that could be how y'all decide it. That's really up to y'all.
When you say y'all,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
what are we talking about? The board of supervisors, the mayors?
Well, I mean, right now, I guess it would be, that's a great question. So right now, it's, Musselwhite, Adams, and, Johnson who are having these conversations because they've paid into it, so, yeah.
And DeSoto County, have they paid?
They have not paid yet.
So the board of supervisors has not,
Not yet.
They have not yet.
I know we have 5 supervisors, and so
Mhm.
like the 5 commissioners, they could appoint, commissioner for each district.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be done so all I can do is tell you the precedents of the other ones that we've studied.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's one that the President of the United States appoints them. There's one where the governor appoints them. There's one where the mayor, I mean, you can do it
So
however.
that would pretty much be up to the mayors of the municipalities to figure out how they want to do that.
Mhm, yeah.
Okay, I got you.
I would hope that would be the way it would be.
Mhm.
Right now, we don't know.
Yep.
We don't know, we just say DeSoto County gets 5 commissioners. Who picks them?
Mhm.
But I would hope, in fairness, that each entity that paid in money
Yep,
would have a commissioner.
that's
And
actually.
I know you,
yep.
but you can't tell us that. 'cause
Right, yeah.
You're not in
But
charge.
what I would love is for y'all to come to the table and help make those decisions.
Does anybody else have any questions for Ms. Anna?
I got one.
Alderman Bledsoe.
This can be paid for out of economic development, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions for Ms. Anna? Did y'all want to, consider tonight, yea or nay, or would y'all rather wait till the first meeting in December?
I'd rather wait till we get some of the answers.
More answers.
I don't like, well, I don't know. Next time you know, you say,
Well, while Ms. Anna's here, does anybody else have any questions? She was nice enough to come down, get crammed into this room with all the rest of us, we appreciate it. Alderman Klein.
All right, so where are we gonna get those answers?
I've gotta go to a COG meeting Friday. So I will attempt to find it, 'cause like you say, it's kind of up in the air. But Ms. Anna, does anybody else have any questions for Ms. Anna? Ms. Anna, thank you so much
Sure
for coming
thing.
down, and thank you for your excellent presentation.
Absolutely.
And a happy Thanksgiving to you.
Well, thanks. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you as well. Appreciate your time.
So will you be meeting with the DeSoto County supervisors anytime soon? Or have you?
I don't know, Supervisor Lynchard is trying to figure that out, for me. I know I have been down, I've met, with COG once, and I've, met with the alderman groups in some of the other cities as well, and there's a meeting, now I can't remember, there's another group that's, that Jim Flanagan has asked me to come meet with on December 6th or 8th, I can't remember. There's a lot of meetings going on in my life right now. So apologies for that. I will say this, the way a lot of the cities are talking about this is that this initial contribution is sort of like hiring the consultant to study the feasibility of all of this and to figure it out. And so part of what this, this money is going towards is paying this lawyer that's helping draft this charter, that's hearing from everybody, no, we should switch this way, we should do that way, and that kind of thing, and to sort of help answer those questions and put all that together, so.
Alderman Johnson?
So will there be a chance that we'll have to pay out more money? Is this just the initial money that we have to pay?
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's the question that I don't know the answer to. Again, it is our goal to create a self-sustaining organization here, the business plan, and, and to do all that study and all that work. And I know that we have, philanthropic, dollars, or people that are interested in contributing to this. I've had some meetings with a couple of individuals who are interested, I've had meetings with businesses that are interested. We're just in that sort of working mode right here where, I'm trying to get answers as quickly as I can, myself, and figure this out. But it's definitely in a, creation mode right now.
So basically what you're asking for is just money to secure the attorney. Let's put this together.
It will secure the attorney, it will allow us to
So
start.
unless we secure the attorney, none of it's gonna happen.
That's true, yes, because we've gotta have the laws drafted or the bills drafted to submit for legislation.
Anybody else?
Okay.
Mr. Robinson, would you put this on the agenda for the first meeting in December, please, sir? Thank you, sir. Ms. Hannah?
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bring you home.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excuse me, sir.
They're done. The board, so.
Y'all will go. Sir?
Yes, we're good.
Let's roll. All right. We are on number 5 on the agenda. New business. Letter A. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
make a request to approve the payment of the final pay estimate to Hollingsworth Paving for the fire station repaving in the amount of $47,794.82.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Do we have any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. We're down to letter B. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Alderman Johnson.
I'd like to request to adopt an ordinance regulating small cell technology facilities.
We have a motion by Alderman Johnson. Do we have a second?
Mayor, second.
Second by Alderman Young. Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to
Yes,
let but the board is aware, make them aware that Mr. Gunnar Goad with AT&T is present tonight
Yes,
to answer any questions, if anybody has any.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gunner is here if anyone has any questions for him. Anyone? Roll call, please.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Mr. Gunner, thank you very much. Look forward to getting a check from AT&T. Okay. Have a safe trip back to Tupelo, sir.
Can I get one this week, Billy, or something?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to you, sir. All right, we're down to citizens' remarks. Please remember, These are 3 minutes. I know some of you may have concerns that cannot be addressed in 3 minutes, but the purpose of this is to let you address the board. If it was going to be longer than 3 minutes, we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting. All right, our first citizen is Mr. William Egner. Please, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. My name
Yes,
is
sir.
William Egner. Live at 7497 Jennifer Drive in Horn Lake. First of all, I'd like to thank you very much for putting citizens' remarks on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
It makes this panel look very open, and that's a great thing, I think. The two things that I wanted to discuss the most had to do with the ad hoc committees that were made up over the last couple of weeks. And I was probably late on the fireworks committee. It looks like y'all are going to vote on that in a few minutes, maybe. I don't know. But I do think that the primary focus on the fireworks is the shooting of the fireworks, not the selling of the fireworks. And I really think those are two separate issues. I don't think they have to go hand in hand with any ordinance. With regard to amending the ordinance, I think we already have laws on the books that cover everything with regard to making noise after 10 o'clock. The only thing in the ordinance that needs to be added are dates, maybe. They have times in there, but they have no date parameters. Juneteenth has come into being since we made that ordinance, and I think that needs to be taken into consideration. So if we put some dates in there, I think that's really all we needed. I'm sure y'all have done a lot more work on it than that, and I'm sure I won't have any problems with it. The next ad hoc committee, or an additional ad hoc committee, has to do with the rental ordinance. And I think the goal of the rental ordinance should be to benefit the city or the citizens of Horn Lake. I don't think this should be used as an additional revenue stream. So if you're a resident of Horn Lake and you have rental property, I don't think you ought to be charged for that first inspection. I think you ought to be charged if you fail some points on that inspection and have to have re-inspections. But I don't think we ought to go after landlords, especially our own landlords. Now, if you live in another city, another state, maybe even another country, I don't know, and you have rental property in Horn Lake and you're just taking advantage of our rental environment, then I think you ought to pay the way. That's my feelings on that. Now, with regard to something I saw on the news last week, it looks like the ACLU is going to sue the city for denying the building of the mosque, and I think that we should build the mosque. To let them build their mosque. And those are my opinions, and I thank you very much for allowing me to come and state them tonight.
Well, I thank you very much, Mr. Egner, and appreciate you recognizing the time limit. You're very concise and very, just very concise in your remarks, and I really appreciate you taking time to come down here and do that, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next citizen is Mr. Brent Smith.
No comments tonight, sir. Sorry.
Okay.
Change your mind. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Well, that concludes that portion of the agenda. All right. Moving on down. Number 7. Mayor Alderman correspondence. Before we get to letter A, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have safe journeys to and from wherever you go. I'd like to thank all the department heads for all their hard work. And we will now go to letter A. Request amendments to the ordinance for the fireworks use and discharge in the city of Horn Lake. Now, on the ad hoc committee, we had, let's see, who all was on that? Alderman Geis.
It was myself, Alderman Klein, Police Chief Rowell, Fire Chief Linville, and one representative from the fireworks vendors.
All right, sir. Well, who is going to come forward with these recommendations? Alderman Geis, please.
Yes, sir. First thing I would do is like to thank everybody that attended the meeting and given their opinions and the work we did to try to come up with some changes to the ordinance that might deal with the issues. What we saw the issues as was the improper use and firing of the fireworks and the safety that comes from that improper use and the complaints that come from it. The first recommendation we had was changing the dates of sale and changing the dates and times of the use. We recommended knocking off days in June and changing the ordinance from the way it originally was in July was June 15th to July 5th, and we recommended changing it to June 20th to July 5th, with sales ending at 10 p.m. on the night of the 5th. And on the use of them, we changed it to June 29th through July 5th for use every day 5 to 10 p.m., knocking it back from midnight, except on the night of July 4th where it would be allowed until midnight. In December, we changed the dates, which were December 20th through January 2nd. We changed them to, for sale, December 20th through January 1st, with sales ending at 10 p.m. on the 1st. And use, we changed to December 26th through January 1st, with the times being the same, 5 to 10, except on the night of New Year's Eve, where you could go till 1 a.m. on the 1st. We made the requirement that vendors had to have the ordinances printed either on a flyer, bag, or receipt, whichever was their choice, and that all vendors had to maintain a sign at each location with the updated ordinances on it to include the penalties. We changed to where you had to be 18 to purchase fireworks. That was actually listed under the sales section, and I think it needs to be changed where it's also listed under use in the ordinance. Anyone under the age of 18 using fireworks must be in the presence of an adult 18 or older. That was not really in the ordinance, and the chief of police made a recommendation to the wording in there, and it shall be unlawful for a person under the age of 18 to discharge fireworks unless directly supervised by a parent or guardian 18 years of age or older. Directly supervised shall be defined as on-site and physically present with the person under the age of 18 while engaged in the discharge of fireworks. The way it was before, it didn't really clarify what supervision was, so you could be sitting in your house watching TV, drinking a beer, looking out the window, and call that supervision. Now the adult has to be physically present out there when they're discharging them so they can deal with any unsafe use of the fireworks. And it also should add, it shall be unlawful for a parent or guardian to knowingly allow a person under the age of 18 to discharge fireworks without being directly supervised. We felt that being put into the ordinance gave us some control over when parents aren't watching what their children are doing. And most of the illegal discharge and all that is more than likely unsupervised children. We required in the ordinance that all sales locations must have an on-site manager on location over the age of 18 to supervise any employees under the age of 18. There was actually, the chief noticed this, that what was on Muni Code was not actually our city ordinance on fireworks. It was part of it, but not all of it, and it wasn't accurate. So we recommend that that get updated once we come to a final conclusion on what the ordinance is going to be. It actually listed a fine for fireworks violations, and it was fairly weak. So we recommended changing it to the general fine for city ordinances, which was up to $1,000 and or up to 90 days in jail for violations of the ordinance, and that applies to vendors or users. And that should be listed in the ordinance under sales and under use. And that a correct and current copy should be available to the public and vendors. So basically, we had vendors giving out copies of an ordinance that was not accurate. And we need to make sure all our ordinances are up to date in Unicode so the public can be properly informed. We also thought that when budget time comes up that we add overtime to the police budget to allow for officers to be assigned enforcement duties during the sales and use window that did not take away from the normal assigned officers on the street. The problem is when you've got a limited number of officers, they're responding to domestics, DUIs, whatever may be. They often don't have time to get to the fireworks violations in a timely manner. And additionally, on misdemeanors and city ordinances, even if I see a fireworks violation and I call the police, if the police get there and they don't see the violation, they cannot charge the violator. That's Mississippi law. We can't base it on felonies. We can base it on facts and circumstances, on evidence, but the officer has to physically see the people violating the law on an ordinance to be able to charge them. So having additional officers out during those dates to actually respond to those calls and try to catch the violators would probably start to reduce the incidents of improper use. And the key to this is going to be enforcement and the penalties for the violations. So if we can have all the ordinances and fines in the world, but if we can't charge anybody, we aren't going to start fixing the problem. So we felt these changes would address what the core problem was, which is violations of the use of these. And by reducing the window of their sale and their use, and actually adding teeth to the ordinances and a way to charge parents for not supervising their children, we should be able to reduce improper use. So that's our recommendation.
All right, sir. Does anyone have any comments? Any board members have any comments or questions at this time? Alderman Klein.
Well, I might want to add that also looking at raising the permit cost to $1,500. And I don't know if it would be legal for us to earmark that additional money to cover some of the overtime for the police.
Anyone have any comments on that?
Mayor,
Alderman Johnson.
I'd also like the dates to be adjusted as well for Juneteenth, to allow for sales for that date, if, the vendors wanted to do that.
So, what you're recommending then, Alderman, is to go back to the date of sales starting, say, June the 15th
Probably about the
or
15th.
16th or something?
15th.
Ma'am?
15th would be good.
June the 15th?
Is that where it was before, the
Yeah.
15th?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
It was June the 15th to July the 5th. And the way it is now, this is for sales, December the 20th through January the 2nd. January the 1st, excuse me, through January the 1st. We got so many different things up here. Before we go any further, I want to thank the members of the committee. It's been a lot of hard work, and you've really had to sweat it out. And I want to thank you for the extra time that you put in on this. Does anyone have an objection for moving the sales date back to June the 15th?
Mayor,
Alderman Young.
I have that as well as some other concerns, if I may, sir. Yes, I would think that the committee's dates are sufficient. Actually,
Sir?
I would think the committee's dates are sufficient.
Okay.
The dates that they have here are sufficient. They're a little longer than necessary, but they're sufficient.
Well, if we go back to the sale on June the 15th, you're going to have to allow people to have some time to shoot off fireworks to celebrate June the 18th.
Well, I think that, Mayor, if I may.
Sir?
I think that was part of the problem within the three major wards in this city was the extensive length of shooting off fireworks in the city. That was one of the biggest concerns the citizens of our city had,
Right.
was the length that they were allowed to shoot.
Right.
It's even confusing to go sales one day and shooting the next. I mean, we're just adding more mud in the water is all we're doing, in my opinion. I mean, the dates, I mean, we can, as long as they print it out and they're honest and they do what they say they're gonna do at these fireworks stands and they make the people understand. And I'm sure that, I know the police are gonna do everything they can to make the people understand, as well as printing it on everything or whatever. But I think the dates are adequate. I don't think we need to move them, adjust them, or anything. I think they're too lengthy, but I don't think we need to extend them at all, period.
Does anyone else have any comments?
Mayor,
Alderman Johnson.
Juneteenth is now a nationally recognized holiday. And so in order to be able to celebrate and use fireworks, and they would have to be sold for that day, for the usage and selling, I would like those dates to be changed.
All right, so if your suggestion, sales beginning June the 15th.
Yes. And to allow usage.
And
as
to allow
well.
usage through July the 5th, or say to,
Mayor.
Yes, through July 5th, just like that, through July 5th.
all right. Alderman Geis.
Is the, I know that's a new holiday, is it celebrated on the 18th? That's
Yes.
the official recognition.
Well,
So-
it's normally I don't think it's the actual date.
It's looks like it's the 19th.
It's the weekend, that particular weekend. So that would put us doing the 15th, or even changing that date. Let me see which day it falls on. So you have it as the 19th, and if sales start, it still would have to be the 17th or 18th as far as sales go.
The reason why I was asking is if there's on the national holiday, if we allowed the use of them on that particular holiday instead of adding, a
The
week
change
of
the date.
use,
Yeah.
that still limits it, down.
Am I understanding correctly that the suggestion is to change the date of sales beginning June the 15th, but the use to only be on the holiday and then on June the 29th through July the 5th? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, sir.
That's fine.
Mayor,
Alderman Young, I'm sorry.
I understand the sensitivity of Juneteenth. I understand that totally. But we have Martin Luther King Day. We don't shoot fireworks then. We don't shoot them on St. Patrick's Day. We don't shoot them on the first day of spring. We don't shoot them on the first day of winter. You know, we've got, even rain stops somewhere. So there again, we can't just adjust. We've got to take into the fact the citizens that have disabilities and issues and our veterans that can't take the extra noise. They're the ones that vote us into this office. We're not considering the people. It's not about the holiday. It's about restricting the shooting of these fireworks. That's what this is about, restricting it and getting fines levied if you don't listen to the restrictions. It's not about adding additional holidays. That's not what this is about.
Anyone else have a comment on that? Alderman Bostic.
I agree with Alderman Young that the way that they put it here is, you know, with the days being only, 6 or 7 days on each time, as opposed to 3 weeks, I think is sufficient. And I think that there's a possibility, we could work with this right here if this is what, we're going to try to do.
Alderman Bledsoe.
I've got a question for the chief. Chief, do you know about how many extra officers you would need during that time?
I think you would need at least 4 minimum.
I just want some idea.
What is the permit fee right now? How much is it? Sir?
It's 500, you're talking about for the tent fee?
Yes, sir.
500.
500. All right, sir. Thank
Mayor.
you, sir.
Mayor.
Alderman Young.
Alderman Geis has a really good idea there about the overtime for the officers. And I like what Alderman Klein said about taking that money, the additional fee money, and using it to help cover the overtime, because we are a little tight in our budget on those kind of things. But the bigger point that I'm looking at on this is if you have an O'Charlie's or McDonald's or churches or whatever, 3 or 4 of them in the city, each one of those units pay a business license, do they not? And they pay taxes for selling their product. But it's the same thing with this permit fee. If you have more than one tent or more than one whatever in our city, you should be paying a permit fee on each one of those locations, not one single permit fee. It should be the $1,500, and it should be $200 per tent additional. That money can be used, as Mr. Klein said and as Mr. Geis has pointed out, to cover this overtime. That's what that money should be used for.
All right, sir. Did someone down here have a comment or a question right now before we move on to another part of it? Okay. Alderman Bostic.
I noticed also we had discussed the selling of the fireworks to be cut off at 10 o'clock, and I did not see that anywhere in here.
Yeah, it's every day, but the actual holiday.
That was for use.
It's for sales too.
But you got right here.
Use. The second under each one, that's use.
So it's 10 o'clock every day.
Yes, except for the holiday itself.
So what are their operating hours? 9 in the morning to 10 at night, or 5 in the night to 10, only 5 hours a day, or?
The sales?
Right, the sales.
we didn't list any limit on the sale of fireworks.
I know, that's what we had discussed before about cutting it off at 10 o'clock to where, you know, just like everything else, we just cut it at 10 and be done for sales for the night. I'd like to add that in there also.
I think we might want to keep in mind what Mr. Egner said, that the problem is the shooting of the fireworks. That is the problem right there. Now, Chief Rao, what is the fine if you see someone shooting fireworks at wrong hours? How much is the fine?
In the ordinance as it stands right now, it's up to $500.
So if you saw a bunch of kids out there, you could cite them and be up to the judge to determine the amount?
That's correct.
All right, sir. Does anyone have any comments or questions on that? Alderman Dupree.
In the ordinance, it's not shown up on our list that we got in front of us, but in the original ordinance, does it say may be fined or shall be fined? Because that one word makes a big difference when it comes to court. If it says may be fined, we should change that to shall be fined.
In the current ordinance, it says, upon conviction thereof shall be sentenced to pay a fine not to exceed $500 and/or imprisonment in DeSoto County Jail not to exceed 30 days.
Okay, so it does say shall.
We're changing it.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments or questions on that?
Mayor.
Alderman Young.
Mr. Billy, I don't know. I mean, I've read the ordinance, the state ordinance, over and over and over and over and over. And I know it says that we can adjust certain things in the state ordinances. We can adjust certain things, right?
You can regulate it at your discretion. There are no limits on your discretion on how you regulate it.
Because I'm looking at 45-13-15, where their penalties are extremely more stringent than what we have.
That may be the case. I don't have that one pulled up, but there is a specific state statute for penalties for a violation of a municipal ordinance, and that's what Alderman Geis has in his proposal.
Well, so clarify that, does that mean we have to have this one, or we can adjust this one?
No, the municipal code ordinance statute is up to $1,000 and/or up to 90 days in jail.
Right, but that's not what the state statute is.
I'm quoting you the state statute for a municipal ordinance violation.
Any person, firm, partnership, corporation violating any provision of this article shall be guilty of a felony, shall be punished by a fine not to exceed $1,000 and/or imprisonment in the county jail or state penitentiary not to exceed 1 year, in addition to said criminal penalties. That's the state statute.
Under the state fire
That's
regulation.
what I'm asking. Can we adjust this to this $1,000 in 90 days?
No.
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 Okay, so that bottom part, fines up to $1,000 and/or 90 days can be stricken.
No, that is what that's our maximum that we can have in our ordinance. We can't go by the state fire regulation that you're reading there.
This is the fireworks ordinance for the state, from the fire marshal's office, right? But we can't adjust that, but we have to follow that.
No, sir.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Do we have to follow this, or can we adjust it? That's my question.
We don't follow the felony penalty that you read me about, up to 1 year in state penitentiary. We have to follow the municipal code ordinance violation, which is $1,000 or 90 days in jail, or both.
Okay, that was my question, or both.
Or both?
Right, I wanna make sure I was right. It's hard to hear over here in this corner.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna assume, and I usually mess up on this, we're not gonna charge anybody with a felony for discharging fireworks, are we?
No.
Will that be automatically a misdemeanor, Mr. Campbell?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. And while we're talking about fines, I would ask the board to please, if someone has a fireworks stand and they tell the employee, do not sell to someone under 18, and that employee does so either by intent or accidentally, I think the employee should be the one who makes the sale should be the one responsible for paying the fine. I know I'm being repetitious, but when I was in business, if my employees sold to someone underage, they had to pay the fine. And the whole intent, I believe, of this is to keep people underage from purchasing fireworks. And based on my experience, I only had 2 instances of that type in 27 years. It was much more effective when the employee had to pay the fine, because they were with their money then. If all they had to worry about was their boss's money, they might be mad and sell it to somebody underage to get back at the boss. They might sell it to one of their friends, or they just might not pay much attention. But if that money was going to come out of their pocket, they were much more likely to be diligent on enforcing that. And I would ask the board to please consider, when you do this ordinance, that if anyone does violate selling to someone underage, that the penalty be on the person who sold the merchandise, not the owner of the business, unless he was the one who sold it to them. I think that would be a much more effective deterrent to underage people purchasing product. Did I get any feedback? Alderman Young.
I can understand that point, totally. But I can also understand that in this perfect world we live in, some people might say, just do it, I'll pay your ticket. So no, I think it really should be, if he wants to fine the kid, that's fine, that's whatever. But I don't think any of them are gonna go out here knowingly expecting to break the law. So the fine shouldn't matter. If they wanna fire the kid or fine the kid, if the law enforcement officer rolls up and their 18-year-old or 19-year-old or 20-year-old manager is breaking the law, then absolutely cite that person. Absolutely, I agree with that. Don't cite the manager unless we see a pattern. Then of course that'd be up to the police department. So, you know, that would be, I'd leave that up to the enforcement side.
So if I understand you correctly, then if someone is violating this proposed ordinance and sells to someone underage, that the citation would go to whoever made the sale and not the owner of the business. Mm-hmm. So whoever gets cited is going to have to pay the fine. Is that correct, Chief?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Alderman Bostic.
In order to do the Juneteenth on the 19th, this is just a suggestion that maybe we could back up the sales to the 18th or 17th, 18th, and 19th, or start them on the 17th instead of on the 20th, but and allow them to be shot on the 18th and the 19th, and then cut them off and then come back to shoot them on June the 29th. That way they would have a couple of days to shoot on the 18th and the 19th. We could still continue the sales, but wouldn't be able to come back and start the use of them again until June the 29th, which was in the ordinance.
All right, sir. Does the celebration of Juneteenth, is it like Memorial Day or something? Is it always on that date, or is it float?
Floats.
To make a 3-day weekend?
Floats.
Ma'am?
Floats.
It floats. With the first Monday after the 18th, is that what it is?
Actually, it's on a Sunday this year.
Mayor.
Alderman Dupree.
Got two things. Chief, if these fireworks are shot outside of the time, and if an officer shows up, can we make it where he does or she does write a citation and not a warning? If we give warnings, people are just going to take advantage of that.
Alderman, that's gonna be, you know, at the discretion of the officer on a case-by-case basis. I mean, you can't make a blanket black and white that every time this is gonna happen, because every encounter is different.
Well, I mean, if they're
So,
breaking the law, they're breaking the law.
I will
right?
tell you, the direction that's gonna be given to the officers going forward is gonna be that when we see violations, we need to address those violations. Now, again, it's not gonna be a black and white that everybody's getting a citation, period, because there may be circumstances that dictate, okay, a warning is more suitable in this particular incident. So, hopefully that answers your question.
Well, I believe in officers' discretion. The second thing is, the times on the Juneteenth. Is it gonna be, are we gonna make it the same cutoff time, 10 p.m.? Because it's not on the paperwork here.
Anyone have any comments? Alderman Dupree said, will the cutoff time on the celebration of Juneteenth be 10 o'clock, or would it be later?
Ms. Johnson is,
I'd say we would follow the same criteria as we follow with the other holidays.
Ma'am?
I'd say we would follow the same criteria that we're following with the other holidays.
In other words, midnight?
No.
on one we
We're not-
have
we're not-
mid,
No.
one
10
we
o'clock.
have
One is
midnight, and
well,
one's 1
midnight
a.m.
wouldn't be, I wouldn't do midnight for,
It would be midnight.
you say midnight?
No, what I'm saying is one of the holidays is midnight, and then one is 1 a.m. because of New Year's Eve. So all the other days during the
Oh,
shooting
okay.
periods are 5 to 10, because it's giving
Okay.
you dark time, but it's not so late that it's keeping people up at
Yeah.
1 or midnight or 1. So that's a new holiday. I'm aware of what it is, but I'm not familiar with the celebrations for it. I just know we used to have a celebration at Horn Lake in years
Yes,
past.
in the park, right.
Before COVID.
Yes. And hopefully we can start back again. It's gotta get organized.
So it is,
I said, hopefully we can get that started back up. So
The
maybe,
board always supported that.
so is
Mr.
10
Smith was in charge of it. He
Right.
moved.
is
Sir?
Is
so
10
10
p.m.
o'clock may be
10 p.m.
feasible.
Okay. Sound
10
like
o'clock
you.
may be feasible.
Mayor? Over here.
Alderman Klein?
I was politely pointed out to me that if for some reason you're wanting to have fireworks and it's not within that parameter, that you can purchase a permit. And the reason I say that, because we, the clients, have a 4th of July celebration, and the way we normally do it is if it falls on a Wednesday, it's my choice. Otherwise, it's closest Saturday. So right off the bat, it's gonna make me illegal if it's past the 4th and I push it to a Saturday. But I just know we've done this for umpteen years, so I would purchase a permit to protect, just in case one of those folks didn't realize it, that we have new ordinances. But I just also wanted to point that out, that we have that opportunity to purchase permits.
Are you talking about just in the celebration of July the 4th or any occasion?
In my case, it'd be July 4th, but Chief, would you want to answer that?
It's in your ordinance now. If you wanted to shoot fireworks on a day that was not allowed, you have to get a permit from the fire department. Fire department has to come out and inspect where you're shooting, just like you're doing a controlled burn. If it's not safe, we're not going to deem that. And I did say you're going to have an acre or more land to shoot it. You would also have to have water on standby, you got all your safety stuff on standby, and you would not be allowed to shoot, but except between 5 and 10, even if it's a holiday.
And
like
that's what's
St.
in the
Patrick's.
ordinance now.
Right. Even
So
if
that-
it was
that-
St. Patrick's Day. But we
Sir?
don't, even if it was St. Patrick's Day and you wanted to do it, you would have to stop at 10 o'clock. But we would have to come out and inspect it, give you a permit use, and we're gonna see, kinda like we do on some of the pyrotechnic things when they do it. It's all kinda in that same field, but that's kind of the way that works. But that has been in the ordinance long time.
Since 1997, I think, Chief.
Yes, sir. It's been in there a long time. How many people call us for one? Not many.
What's the charge for that, Chief?
It's currently set at $50. And we can change that, but it's currently set at $50. I didn't ask to change it, but it's a $50 permit fee. You'll pay that to the fire department. We'll put it in the city budget, but it's just $50 for the permit. And that's really for us just to go and see the site and where they're doing it, and if everything seems to be safely.
There's also a requirement for the applicant to post a bond in the minimum amount of $100,000 to cover any claims for property damage.
Yeah.
And you have to pay the city clerk's office $250 for each piece of fire equipment and personnel deemed necessary by the fire official per 3-hour period.
Yeah, if we're gonna set that up, yes. But it is a bond you have to permit. That's on anything, but that's if any damages occur by them shooting fireworks, they are bonded by the city.
And you wouldn't need fire equipment unless it was gonna be a major celebration, a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, like just doing something at the park, or some business was wanting to do something like that, and we deemed it that we should have a piece of fire equipment deemed there and the staff standing by with it. We've done it years in the park, but we just did it for the city on that part.
So Alderman Cline would not need a fire truck out there for his 4th of July celebration.
I can't say that until I look at his face. I don't know what he's shooting.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments on this proposed change?
Mayor.
Alderman Young.
This has been a very long, drawn-out process. Took a lot longer than what it should have taken. I'd just like to say, people of Horn Lake expects this elected board to serve their needs every day. We need to remember this. Your vote affects every citizen in Horn Lake, not just your neighbors. Everybody. There are many places in this county with land for this type of activity. Veterans, people with mental disorders, the elderly, the animals some claim so love, and many more expect us to represent them every day, not just as we sit at this table. They are deserving of an ordinance that removes their fear and anguish of this very event. We are the city. We're the only city in this county that allows fireworks. The only one. I thought we wanted to raise the bar. We've turned our backs on our neediest citizens. This board has done that. We should be ashamed, because I certainly am. The taxes are so minimal at 1.1%, it doesn't even pay for us to run the police all over the city and the fire trucks around. If we have a wreck, it's going to be $1 million plus more, and that little bit of money we get off tax revenue ain't going to pay for it. It's a bad decision. It's a bad business decision. Again, our cities deserve better. Our citizens do deserve better in this city. When we make this decision we're about to make, we need to look at the effect our decision will make on the entire city, not on our personal preferences, not on lone business people, not on a relative, not on our personal desires, but our citizens must take front and center when we make this vote. This, ladies and gentlemen of the board, is how this city should operate. This is what our city expects us to do. Especially from my conservative standpoint, if this vote goes any other way than a nay, we failed the citizens of Horn Lake.
Are there any more comments? Any more discussion on the proposed changes in the ordinance for fireworks sales and use? Do we have a motion?
Hold on, excuse me, Mayor.
Is this a motion or discussion?
No, well, we had made some adjustments in there, and I want to make sure that we got, I made a suggestion, they made a suggestion, they made a suggestion. I just want to make sure before we make a motion, what are we changing here? Are we changing dates, times, of what dates, things of that nature?
I think everybody needs to get a little clarity on that. All right. Mr. Jim, does anybody want to make a motion and then we go through it like that, or what do you have, Mr. Jim?
Well, I was gonna say that because I'm still not clear on what I was writing down on the sales time in June, because the 15th was mentioned and the 17th, 18th. So, yeah, I would like a little more clarification.
On that one, I think Alderman Bostic had mentioned opening up sales on the 17th and allowing use if that holiday rotates, and it's not
It's
always on the 19th. Okay.
19th.
To allow use on the 18th and the 19th from 5 to 10. That was the only change as far as the dates of use that was proposed. Alderman Bostic suggested cutting off sales every day at 10 p.m. That was a suggestion. I guess we need to, on that particular one, we need to poll the people here and see if they're for changing it to 10 or leaving it where it is.
I think you were allowing it to be, fireworks to be shot till midnight. I say on January its use is allowed until 1 a.m. on January the 1st.
And 5 to 10, the rest of the day is allowed.
And on July the 4th, it can go till
Midnight.
Midnight, yeah.
Okay.
Just on the 4th. The rest of the dates, it was 5 to 10.
All right.
And then on the Juneteenth celebration dates, it was 5 to 10 on those 2 dates.
But I was thinking LaShonda was wanting the same, treated as a holiday, the 19th to midnight.
Well, the 10th should suffice.
10's fine?
She was fine
Yeah,
with 10.
Okay.
10th is fine.
It's
10
okay.
o'clock, 10 o'clock is fine.
And the sales,
Sale cutoff?
yeah. Alderman Bostic suggested changing it to 10.
Now, wasn't it already set for 10, except on the holiday?
No, there's nothing in there except for 10 o'clock on the last day, on the 5th, and on the 1st.
Yeah.
There was nothing, no date.
I mean, we were doing a shut-off sale
Right.
time.
On the day.
There, I would have to argue, there's not a problem with the sales part of this. We're really trying to deal with the noise and the safety. So I wouldn't be for, cutting that off at 10 o'clock, when they normally sell on into the, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night.
A lot of they're gonna think if they go in there at 10:30 and buy fireworks, they're gonna be able to shoot them.
Not, when they hand out the ordinances to them, they're letting them know that they can't.
Well, I think that everyone up here, including Chief Riles, we thank him for all his advice on it, and Chief Linville, all of his advice. that the whole key, just like Alderman Guy said, is enforcement. Mr. Egner said that it's two distinct issues. One's the sale and one is the use. And I think the purpose of this change when we started out was to regulate when they could be shot. But we're, for our businessmen that do business in Horn Lake, we need to come to a decision and make a motion.
And Mayor, I think the city needs to take more responsibility as far as putting out there the safety, you know, the use and safety, and that's why I asked the vendors if they'll advertise, that type of thing to help us along with that. And then also our other vendors in the city that have the digital signs, you know, that we'll put in something into place. It's a simple group email to these businesses that we would like this safety message across your digital board during this time to this time. And I think those type of things that you put into place is going to help tremendously. Remind the parents to supervise their children properly.
Yes, sir. Do we have, if there's no more discussion, is anyone prepared to make a motion?
Mayor.
Alderman Guy.
Just for, I want to add a few more things that were discussed for clarification.
Yes, sir.
The request was to increase the fee for the permit for $1,500 and $200 for each additional tent. Is that what you had listed? And the fire chief mentioned on the special permit having a minimum of an acre of land to qualify for that.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. Robinson, excuse me.
So we're looking at, right now they pay $500 per address per tent. So you were saying $1,500 for the first one, and if they have a second one, it's $200?
No, I would say then you would look at 700, adding additional, instead of it being 1,500 and it's 500 additional, I'd make that 700.
It's always been 500 a tent.
500?
So
500
it's always
each.
been 500 a tent. No
Period,
matter-
each.
Each, so it'd be 1,500 a tent.
If they had 3 sites,
It'd be
right now they
15
would pay $1,500. They pay $500 per address.
Let's see, yeah, I would have to say 1,500 each. Because I'm telling you, the police overtime is gonna be expensive. And that would be,
Mayor.
I don't know if, what's other aldermen's thoughts on it, but I would think.
I would think that would be a little high. $1,500 per tent is quite a bit of money. I know that a lot of people don't like fireworks being sold, but if it's legal to be sold, our businessmen should be entitled to make a profit. Alderman Dupree.
I'm in favor with Alderman Klein. If we're gonna have to pay overtime for somebody to have fun, it shouldn't come out of the city's budget. It should come out of the people who are making the profit, not out of the city's pocket.
But we still want our businessmen to make a profit, you know, or else they won't do business in Horn Lake, which I'm sure a lot of people, I respect your opinion, don't want fireworks sold. But we need to come to a conclusion, hopefully, so our vendors will know what to expect. Do we have any kind of a motion?
Don't they pay
Well,
5 plus a tent permit? All that.
You know, we'll call it 3 times. You know,
We're fixing to make some motion.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion once I know what I'm gonna make a motion.
We're still trying to figure out.
I'm gonna take a smoke break while you write
Figure
that.
out the 1,500.
Yeah, I don't wanna make a motion and then and people say that's not what we agreed to.
I'm gonna get a cigarette while you.
What if we just do $1,000 for every tent site?
Maybe $1,000, that's what I
Mayor.
was thinking.
I'd
Double
say,
it.
I'd say 700. I think
No.
all the times it's.
No.
But that's up to y'all. I
Mayor,
still think 700 is fair.
It's
Mayor.
currently,
Alderman Young. if I get my
I agree with Alderman Klein, $1,500 for the main tent and $750 for each tent after that. That should be fair. It's more than what they're paying now. But you know what? There's a cost to doing business. And this would just have to be figured into that, because these guys down here and these guys right over here, they're gonna be running their rear end off. And do we really want to put our rear ends out there if we're not gonna be able to recoup some of that money? We also need to be covering our rear end.
Right, I misunderstood Alderman Klein then. I thought he meant $700 per location.
I haven't said $1,000 per location is what I'm saying now.
Oh, I can go for that. That's fine.
$1,000.
I wish y'all would consider
Just
that fee.
stay at 1,000. For each, we can keep it simple. I think we can do that.
That'd be fine.
Put that down, Mr. Michael. Buddy.
Mayor, let's take 5 while Alderman Geis figures this out.
I'm all for that.
Oh, he got a scratch mark.
I'll match mine against him.
I hope your notes are better than
But
mine.
please take into consideration, let's don't be exorbitant on the permits. $1,000 a tent is pretty steep.
I don't think it's.
But that's your decision, but like I say, we want people to make money in Horn Lake.
We're good.
We're doing this like gas, we're trying to run it up so high so people won't use it. Are you ready, or we'll take 5?
Yeah, I will give this a try.
Excuse me, Alderman, Mayor,
Alderman Johnson.
are we leaving the hours of operations the same as they were?
Yeah, that was one that.
I
we
think he's
discussed.
fixing to
That's the last one.
make a stab at it.
What are the hours of operation?
5 to 10? No, that's your use.
That was use. There wasn't a cutoff time listed except for the last day of sales. Alderman Bostic requested that it be 10 p.m.
Can it be the vendor's choice?
Well, currently what it is when they cut it off when people quit coming, I'm sure it's the way they're operating. They aren't going to stay open when nobody's coming into business.
Right.
You know, I'm not out there buying them after 10 o'clock, so I don't have no idea.
Mayor,
Alderman Bledsoe.
I say leave it at 12, and a lot of folks like me, I'm in bed at 10 o'clock, and a lot of them are, and some people might not get off, and they want to go by and buy the fireworks. I still got fireworks from 3 years ago.
Don't let the fire chief know that.
Well, you know,
I shoot them in the county.
another issue on that is the vendors have to have people there 24 hours a day. So are we worried about sales, or are we worried about use?
I think, it's been 12 forever, and hope you don't, 12 o'clock, the police can find them real quick. They start shooting them.
Well, we were talking about how late they can stay open.
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. Okay, that's what they're. You want us to take a break?
I'll give this a try. If I start.
May I recognize you? You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If I mess it up, then we can take a break and we can do a huddle or something.
Well, the thing about this, if this does not work for all parties, we always can come back and redo it. Not before the Christmas holidays or before the 4th of July, but it's not carved in a stone tablet. Alderman Geis.
Mayor, I make a motion to make changes to our current fireworks ordinance to change the dates of fireworks sales for the 4th of July holiday to start on June 17th and end on June 5th, with the sales ending at 10 p.m. on the 5th.
You mean July the 5th?
On July 5th.
Yes, sir.
Based on the most recent comments, with sales every day ending at midnight. Use of fireworks would be on June 18th and 19th for Juneteenth holiday, with use being from 5 to 10 p.m. and to start again for use on June 29th through July 5th, the times being 5 to 10, except on the holiday of July 4th, where it's allowed until midnight. On the New Year's holiday, sales will start on the 20th and go through January 1st, with sales ending at 10 p.m. on the 1st, with sales going till midnight on all other days. Use would be December 26th through January 1st, times being 5 to 10 p.m. every day except December 31st, which would be allowed until 1 a.m. on the 1st. Do you have all that so far? Fireworks vendors must have the ordinance, a current ordinance, printed on either a flyer, bag, or receipt. And all vendors must have the ordinance displayed on a sign at the sales location.
Alderman? I think it was Alderman Klein that said to include the fines.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, they would include, the ordinance, this ordinance for sales and use needs to list the penalty that can be issued by the court on both.
So printed.
Printed in it. You must be 18 years of age to purchase fireworks. Anyone under the age of 18 using fireworks must be in the presence of an adult 18 years or older. And the ordinance will include the verbiage, "It shall be unlawful for a person under the age of 18 to discharge fireworks unless directly supervised by a parent or guardian 18 years of age or older." Directly supervised under the definitions will be defined as on-site and physically present with the person or persons under the age of 18 while they are engaged in the discharge of fireworks. Additionally, it will say, "It shall be unlawful for a parent or guardian to knowingly allow a person under the age of 18 to discharge fireworks without being directly supervised." Under sales, it will say all sales locations must have an on-site manager on location to supervise any employees under the age of 18. We will change the permit fees to $1,000 per sales location. And additionally, under the special permit, have the restriction that you have to have 1 acre or larger piece of property in order to even qualify to be considered for that permit. Did I miss anything?
Do you have the additional tents?
Yes. I don't think the overtime would be part of the ordinance. That would be something that the board considers under the budget.
Does that conclude your motion, sir?
Do I need
Yeah.
to list what the penalty is?
We'll get it in there.
Okay, but it's the general ordinance penalty, which is the maximum under law that we can charge for a city ordinance violation.
Does that conclude your motion, Alderman?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second by Alderman Klein. Do we have any more discussion? Mr. Robinson, would you please do the roll call?
Alderman Young,
Nay.
Alderman Dupree,
Nay.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Bostic,
Nay.
Alderman Geis,
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe,
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 4 in favor, 3 nays. All right, moving on. All right, we're on Alderman correspondence now. Mr. Alderman Klein, did you have anything, sir?
No, sir.
Alderman Bledsoe?
No, sir, I just think, our city's looking a lot better, things getting picked up, cleaned up, and, our police and fire are doing a great job, so.
Yes, sir.
I see a lot more police cars around, so.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
Alderman Geis, did you have anything, sir?
No, sir.
Alderman Bledsoe?
Go the other way.
I mean, Alderman Bostic, I'm sorry.
Now, all you guys are invited to Ward 3 on Birchville Circle to listen to the fireworks anytime you want to come.
Alderman Johnson?
Yes, sir. I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and to let you all know that we are having a food drive. The food will be donated to Heartland Hands, and that will go directly back to our citizens who are in need. So thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. And thank you for having a giving heart.
Alderman Dupree?
Yes, sir. I also want to say happy Thanksgiving to the folks and to be safe and God bless you. And I'm along with Alderman Bostic come to my house on 4th of July if you don't want to sleep, because you won't sleep on my street. But anyway, y'all have a great time.
Alderman Young?
Yes, sir. Couple of things. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Don't eat too much. The American Legion is having a Christmas magic show for their children and grandchildren. Please go by and get your tickets at the Legion. They're also having a raffle for a 2002 Road King motorcycle that was donated to us. Go by and get you several hundred of those. We had a great veteran ceremony. Thank you so much for all the people and all the kind words to your veterans. Even though you may not have been represented well tonight, please come to Ward 4 as well for the Star Spangled Banner Invitational.
That was a real nice write-up in the virtual newspaper about the flag burn ceremony. Very nice. Chief Rao, do you have anything for the board, sir?
No, sir, I don't have anything, Mike.
Does anyone have any questions for Chief Rao?
I do, sir.
Alderman Dupree?
Chief, thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate you. There for a while, we were seeing a lot more patrol. I've had several phone calls this week, but they haven't seen the patrols lately. I just don't know what's going on. Maybe you can get some people back over in Ward 6 or our ward. I see them out on the street. I don't see them in the subdivisions, but I don't know what happened because it was happening. I mean, you guys were like saturating our neighborhoods, and it was great, but it's slacked off. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions for Chief Rao? Mr. Gary, do you have anything for the board, sir?
No, sir.
Anyone on the board have comments? Questions? Mr. Gary?
Oh, yes, I do, actually.
Oh,
Mr.
Alderman
Gary,
Young.
thank you for what y'all did over in Bellmead. Looks nice. They did a good job over there. I appreciate you getting on it real quick, getting the guys and people over there, and just tell them thank you, and we appreciate what they're doing over there. They are picking up the pace a little bit. It can always be a little better. It always can be. And that's, you know, it's but they're really stepping up. They're doing some good work. The city's looking a lot better. Thank you.
It is. It really is. And thank them for putting up the Christmas tree.
I do, Mayor.
Chief Alderman Dupree.
Yeah. Mr. Gary, thank you. Again, the city is looking a lot better. You got your guys out there in their safety vests. I mean, cones out. I mean, you're doing a really good job, and I appreciate it.
Chief Linville, you have anything for the board, sir?
I don't have anything.
Anyone have questions? Chief Linville? Comments?
Chief?
Alderman Dupree.
When are we going to get the new ambulance?
Been ordered?
Uh-huh.
Hope to get it sometime in January or February. We're working on staffing right now to try to hire, to have personnel for the ambulance when it gets here, and we may even have staff on the ambulance we currently running, you know, the reserve unit, but hopefully the new ambulance will be here in January, maybe February, March. I can't get a definite.
I got you.
Like vehicles, you can't get a definite date on it right now.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mr. Drew, do you have anything for the board, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. Just want to announce that we are up to 420 signups for the basketball. So that's one of the largest leagues we've had in a while. So the basketball program will be cranked up in January.
Anyone else have any questions or comments for Mr. Coleman? Alderman Young.
You're doing a great job over there. The parks are looking really nice. You put the electric gates up that automatically open and close and this, that, and the other. The one that goes to Forest Gate, I came by there at 9:30 the other night. Both gates were wide open. You may want to check that one.
Yes, sir. I know I'm having some problems. We're using solar power right now, so I'm trying to get an electrician out to fix it.
Go green.
Mr. Malavasi, do you have anything for the board, sir?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to let you know that our two-lane road bridge project, unfortunately, they didn't get that finished like we had expected a couple of weeks ago, but they are very close. We probably would be opening that bridge next week if they get in there and get the sidewalk in, along with the fence that goes near the sidewalk, and also one little item they have to do with riprap. So once they get that done, we can stripe the bridge, because they do have to wait 14 days after they put their asphalt down to stripe it. And that's, I think, next Monday it will be the 14th day for that. So looking forward to get that thing open. But that's where we are with that, real close to getting it open. And also I sent Mr. Robinson today a list of projects that we have been looking at, we being Public Works, along with the city, had some master plans done with water and sewer several years ago that now that we've looked like potential funding coming down the pipe, we put together this list to kind of look at a 4-year plan that we would recommend projects for over those 4 years, and kind of how that would be funded, how the funding would drop out. So it's a draft. I think, I'm not sure if everybody got that today. I think they did, but I know you hadn't had time to look at it, but I just wanted to mention that basically it shows a breakout of your water projects, sewer projects, and roadway projects. And of course, those are also listed in kind of the priority in which we would go after those projects, or need to go after those projects, based on the need. So we put a little summary together for each one of those, showing the need and the description of the project. So if anybody has any questions, like I said, I know you hadn't had time to look at that, but maybe the next couple of weeks, if you had time to look at it and have some questions, be sure and give me a call, and we can, like I said, I just want you to use that as a tool for, trying to maneuver through the upcoming fundings that may be coming down the pipe.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all the great work you do. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Malavasi? Alderman Dupree.
Hello, sir. The punch list for Crutcher Heights, has it been started?
That's on phase 3 street rehab. No, he has not started that, any of those punch list items. I texted him, I guess it was yesterday, and he's on another site, having trouble getting away, but, you know, we're sitting here holding his money of some $200,000. So, I mean, you know, that's our leverage right now. So, I mean, whenever he gets ready to come get his money, well, you know, it's just a cleanup item. So, at this point, that's all we can do.
Top of stuff.
You know.
Anybody else? Alderman Klein.
All right, you did say that you have these kind of listed in priority order.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And what do you think these projects will take a period of time?
Well, right now they're scheduled over about a 4 or 5 year period.
4 or 5 what?
4 or 5 year period.
Okay. Way through 25. All the way through 2025?
Yes, sir.
You know, the ARPA funds, we have until 2026 to spend, so we can, some of those funds can go all the way through 2025.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Jim.
Mr. Robinson, did you have anything for the board?
Well, I had just given you the sales tax sheet earlier. We've got our last, you know, sales tax is 2 months off, so you'll see that finished off worksheet for last year. Had a good year with sales tax. You can see that difference, that last column, the difference year to date was over $1 million higher than expected from what we brought in the previous year. And then again, I've mentioned before that drinking water loan is actually the funds that come straight out of our sales tax to pay off some of our drinking water loans. If you include that in the figure, that $266,699, we were up a little over $1.3 million in sales tax.
Awesome.
That's great news. Thank all of our merchants for offering quality merchandise and service to our citizens and our guests. And thank all of y'all for shopping local. And please keep it up. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Robinson? Mr. Campbell, do you have anything, sir?
I do not, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Campbell? All right. I would be remiss if I did not say that we really need everybody's help on helping find some good homes for our dogs and cats. We have 80 dogs and over 40 cats, I believe, at the shelter. It's way over capacity. They've added everything they can. Please help us find good homes for these poor animals. If you know someone's got a tender heart, please call them and ask them to get in touch with us. We really need to try to find them a home. All right. If there is no more discussion, do we have a motion to go into closed determination?
Mayor.
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to go into closed determination for executive session.
Motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Robinson.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all will excuse us for a few moments, please. Okay, do we have a motion to come out of closed determination?
Mayor.
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to come out of closed determination.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Robinson.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss, the discussion strategy session regarding pending litigation involving a proposed development, discussion regarding the location, relocation, or expansion of a business or an industry, discussion regarding the prospective purchase and sale or leasing of land, and personnel matter in the Public Works Department.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second by Alderman Johnson. Is there any discussion? Mr. Robinson, roll call, please, sir.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic. Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. If you will excuse us, we will go into executive session. We have some department heads sitting here. Is there any reason for some of them to keep sitting? I know. Does anyone have any? I know we need those. We could send them out for breakfast. We need those two.
May need
Chief Limbo, or just some elevation?
I don't know, but maybe for some answers.
About a 4-story.
Sir?
The thing, the exact station is about a 4-story apartment, the building, the senior
Yeah,
center.
probably need. Okay.
Chief.
Nobody needs Mr. Vance, if you want to cut.
Okay.
I need it from
Wake up, Francis.
Do we have a motion to kind of executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Alderman Bledsoe to come out of executive session. Do we have a second?
Mayor, second.
Second by Alderman Young. Is there any discussion? Mr. Jim, roll call, please, sir.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Do we have any motion resulting from executive session?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
make a motion to approve the suspension for employee number 569 for 5 days effective tomorrow morning without pay for violation of city policy number 701 in the Public Works Department, and to suspend him from driving any city vehicles for 90 days.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Mayor, second.
Alderman Young made the second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Robinson.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Do we have any further motions?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
I move to make a finding that it is in the best interest of the city to compromise and settle the pending litigation involving a proposed development per the terms as discussed in executive session, and to authorize the mayor and city attorney to sign any documents and take all actions necessary to effect that settlement.
We have a motion by Alderman Geis. Do we have a second?
Mayor.
Second by Alderman Young. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree. Aye. Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Do we have any other motions?
Mayor,
Alderman Geis.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much, Alderman Geis.
Second.
We have a motion
Second.
by Alderman Geis to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bledsoe. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Alderman Dupree.
And the suspension, we didn't mention the mandatory drug screens.
Yeah, I advised Alderman Geis, we would take care of that
Okay.
administratively.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any more discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Robinson.
Alderman Young.
Aye.
Alderman Dupree.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Bostic.
Aye.
Alderman Geis.
Aye.
Alderman Bledsoe.
Aye.
Alderman Klein.
Aye.
Motion carries 7 in favor, none opposed. Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned. And again, a happy Thanksgiving to you and your loved ones.
Yes.